Hey everybody, it's Jimmie Menezes here. I'm with Thomas Ian Nicholas from American Pie and Rookie of the Year. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here in Stockton and having a great time at Stockton Con.
What do you think of our con so far?
Dude, this con is packed. It's great. It's been a great weekend. I've been looking forward to this. I used to live up in Northern California. My mom grew up in San Jose. I lived in Capitola. So, you know, I got to see some of my cousins that live just outside of Sacramento. So it's been a great weekend. Right on,
cool. Do you do a lot of these conventions?
A fair amount. I started doing a few more like comic book stores, kind of coming out of, we don't need to talk about that time period when we were locked in our house, but Comic-Cons, it took a while, but now we're sort of back.
Oh, right,
and,
right.
You know, I've done a fair amount of Comic-Cons.
Right on. Now, you were in American Pie. You were in a Rookie of the Year, which in my opinion is one of the best baseball movies ever, because that's every little kid's fantasy, right?
Yeah.
Like, when you got the job, was that, like, you know what I mean, was it easy for you to find that spot because you were living that, getting the job?
I mean, I was just excited to get the job. I didn't know anything about baseball, because I was, you know, similar to Henry, single parent, you know, family, and like just was into the arts and acting. But I was stoked. In fact, last week was the 30th anniversary at Wrigley Field. So they had Rookie of the Year Day, so there was 10,000 bobbleheads.
Did you throw out a first pitch?
I threw out the first pitch.
Oh.
I thought it would be funny if I floated it, and my floater was way short. It landed in the grass.
Is it
I
on
was
YouTube
pretty embarrassed.
somewhere?
Oh, I'm sure. The Cubs, it's on Instagram. There's a dual post from me and the Cubs. Yeah, it's embarrassing, but you know, that's the name of the game when Henry doesn't have his arm. It's kind of embarrassing.
That's kind of funny how you're like, I'm the guy that saved the franchise. Let me bounce it in the dirt. You're a Northern California guy then, right?
Yeah.
Are you a
yeah.
Giants fan? Are you a Chargers fan?
I mean,
like, what are you into?
I grew up, my aunt and uncle, they lived in Morgan Hill, so I grew up watching like all the, you know, the San Francisco 49ers games and, you know, the Giants and all that stuff. Like I said, I didn't really follow sports, so I kind of am a Cubs fan because I'd have to be pretty heartless to not be a Cubs fan.
I was going to say, you have to be a Cubs fan at this point, right?
Fan, yeah.
Have they let you do the take me out the ball game?
Oh yeah, I've been doing that every year since 2008, at least once a year, throwing out the first pitch and singing the seventh.
Man, that's the way to milk a gig. That's awesome. So, when you do these events, is that what people remember you the most by, or is it American Pie?
You know, it started out with more of like American Pie stuff. That's obviously more like widely known in a global sense. But as we get into this like super nostalgia kind of era, it seems like people are gravitating more towards Rookie of the Year, which I think is cool. And they're showing their kids the film. And what's a trip is it's holding kids' attention of this next generation. Now, I've got a 11-year-old and a 7-year-old, and they love watching the movie. And I thought, oh, it's just because it's like, it's Dad, you know,
right.
When I was a kid. But I'm hearing this from other parents that they're showing their kids who won't pay attention to other movies, and they're sitting through the whole film and then wanting to watch it again, like we used to do when we were kids.
Right. Well, I was gonna say it's one of those movies that captures, because every kid that's into baseball wants that,
right?
Or thinks about that, or has fantasies.
Well, it's also about like a kid being in an adult world, right? And so that's what all kids want. They all want to grow up and like do adult things, and Henry gets to do that. And plus, like his mom, like Amy Morton's character, you know, she's such a strong persona in the film.
Right.
Like one of the most important characters of the movie.
Right. Well, one of those parents that's like, you know, I wish my mom was kind of like that a little bit, maybe to a certain degree.
Yeah.
So people aren't remembering as much for American Pie because is that?
Well, they still do.
No,
I mean, like, I'm just saying that there's been a lot more focus on Rookie of the Year in like the last couple of years.
Is it better to be known as the baseball Henry guy or the horny dude?
I mean, it's better to just be known.
Fair enough.
But obviously, you know, it also helps my other jobs that I'm doing. So, like, I did a film called Adverse with Mickey Rourke that I produced that Lionsgate put in theaters a couple years ago. And I have a new TV series that's dropping on September 8th called Underdeveloped, starring myself, Tom Arnold, Mark Pellegrino, David Koechner. It'll be streaming. I can't tell you where yet, but I can very soon. And everyone will be able to see it, I promise. I just can't officially say where yet.
You'll be able to announce it on YouTube though, or Instagram, or whatever.
Yeah,
whatever
we'll be
social media.
Yeah.
Like, do you have a YouTube channel where you talking to the camera and tell people what you're doing?
I usually just do like a quick like Instagram or TikTok video doing kind of that, just like talking to the camera, saying, hey, this is what's coming up the next weekend.
Then we're definitely going to stay tuned, because
right on.
That sounds like a very fun show with the cast. Now, was it difficult getting into producing from being an actor?
I mean, I produced my first film when I was like 22, and then I really just liked the idea of, instead of going to find work, I'm creating the work that I want to do, and so it's just kind of developed into something more. So now I've produced like a half dozen feature films that have all had theatrical releases, and now I'm getting into TV, so it's a lot of fun.
Is that as satisfying or more satisfying than being on screen?
No, I'm on screen of all those, so I'm creating my own future.
Well, they also say too that Hollywood doesn't mean nothing to nobody if you're not helping your friends get work, which is also what production does.
Yeah, well, and being the boss, I can hire, you know, people that I'm friends with. I mean, we try to pick the right people for the right jobs and not just do the friendly hires. But certainly, you know,
no, I know what you're saying.
Some friends get in there.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's one of those things. I mean, that nepotism's how I got this.
Oh, listen, my son acts, and I put him in the TV show. That's nepotism at its finest. And if I had someone doing the same, creating those opportunities for me, that would have been amazing. So I'm doing that for him. He's in Adverse. He's in the new TV show Underdeveloped. He also like starred in the movie Old with M. Night. So, I mean, he's gotten his own bigger jobs on his own. So
you made that sound like you're like, I wanted that job.
No, I wasn't. I couldn't play a 6-year-old.
No, I know, but you know.
It would have been fun to play the older version of him, though. Although Alex Wolff was great in the film, but I was like, well, I wouldn't have played that version. It would have been the next one up because Alex is only in his like 20s. So I was hoping to play like the 50-year-old. I don't think I looked old enough.
Oh yeah, that's such a curse sometimes when.
I mean, it is my birthday tomorrow.
Oh, well, happy early birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you for spending some time with us and talking to us. I appreciate it very much.
My pleasure.
Really, again, Rookie of the Year is one of my favorite movies. That Major League were like what got me through.
So when the Cubs were going up against Cleveland.
Oh, in the World Series?
Yeah.
If I can be honest, I was rooting for the Indians.
All right, this interview's over.